Everybody, welcome back to the Flipping Junkie podcast. Today I've got Ben Gaines. This guy's incredible. Just started about a year into the business and really doing very well, and says he's doing about 15 investment properties in this first year, and then also doing listings, so retail listings, and really doing an awesome job. So we're going to dig in and find out how he's grown so quickly and done so well in this business. And we chatted a little bit before the show, so I'm super excited because he's doing stuff that I don't hear a lot of other people doing. So I can't wait to dig in. Ben Gaines, well, go ahead. You're sitting right here, so I'm going to say hi to you. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Danny. Good to be here.
Cool. All right. So Ben is the owner of United Properties of North Carolina, a real estate firm based in Greensboro. Along with traditional real estate sales, his firm purchases and renovates residential investment properties using investor funds. In addition to his work at the firm, he also serves as a mentor and encourages the development of new entrepreneurs. That's really awesome. He has also been fortunate enough to work with local youth through community sports programs as a baseball coach. Ben's also constantly focused on learning and investing in himself and other brokers, and is committed to putting his knowledge, extensive network, and all of the resources at his disposal to work for his clients. All right, let's dig in. I want to find out, Ben, about your start. What got you interested? And I know you said it was a 7-hour road trip that just changed everything for you. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. It's so cliche. I've always listened to motivational stuff, but on this trip to my in-laws in West Virginia, it's about a 6.5, 7-hour drive. I found Rich Dad, Poor Dad, on YouTube. I believe it's free there. So you guys can look for that. But, that book changed my life. I listened to it today and I don't get the same thing out of it. And I don't know exactly what I got out of it, but it caused me to go on Google and find podcasts and find other books. And I was intrigued by real estate, and it was full bore from there.
Man, yeah. So 7-hour road trip, you listened to the entire book, and was it the because whenever I read it, it was sort of this whole new world available to me, because it was at first it was I've got to climb some ladder somewhere to be able to find success in life. And it was just going to be getting the job and moving up and trying to do better. And I think reading that book showed me that there was another way. Obviously, right? It's between the Rich Dad and Poor Dad, and showing you the Rich Dad way of seeing things, that there was potential in investing and having money work for you. And to me, that was huge. I mean, do you feel like that was the same for you, or was there something else there?
Yeah, I mean, to hear that someone could want to go buy a new car, and could go find an income property that would pay for that car, and it wouldn't change their monthly budget at all. Just it just finding that income somewhere to go out and get something that you wanted or needed, amazed me. And prior to that, I was an auctioneer. I owned a small eBay store, dealt with some antiquities, and money was hard that way. I mean, a lot of the auctioneers around here who were successful, it was because they had been in the business many, many years. And real estate was something that I felt as though, provided me with an opportunity to make an unlimited amount of money very quickly. And for some reason, it just caught me. I just caught the bug.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you got super interested, got into listening to podcasts and reading other books, what was the first actionable step you took to actually move towards doing an investment?
I joined a RIA, and it was funny. I walked into my local RIA last week, and I go to just about every meeting. In fact, we've got a trade show tomorrow I'm looking forward to, but I walked into that RIA meeting and with a full suit on, sweating and just as nervous as can be. The night before, I had gone to Staples and I had some cards printed, just with my name and an email address that I had created on Google. And so I went to that meeting and introduced myself to a lot of folks, and just that there were a few that stood out. And I'm a very active member in my RIA now, and that's how I meet some of these guys that I help. But as I was walking in last week, I realized, how different it is now. I walk in, I'm very comfortable. You know, I was trying to get out of there last week to get to an appointment, and I had two or three guys waiting to talk to me. And it reminded me of me waiting to talk to somebody on that first day, somebody that maybe looked important or I thought was important.
Yeah.
You don't know who's important, but until you get to know them, or who knows what they're doing. I would say 98% of the people in RIA have never done a deal. But then there's some valuable assets inside that 2%,
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was my first step,
Well, I
so.
bet it was a lot less formal than you thought based on talking
Oh,
about going the suit with the
absolutely.
business cards and
You
everything.
can spot the new guy, you just look for the guy with the tie on, and that's him. But that actually, what I met a lot of people there. I met my first attorney. I met um I met my insurance agent. I met a couple of people that advised me. I'm really grateful for the local RIA, and I know a lot of people don't get the same benefit from the RIA as I do, but I certainly got a huge benefit from it. Um,
It's really cool that you give back now that you've had some success and you're helping other people to do the same thing. You rapidly grew this business, and I'm sure we'll get to it, but you even told me that you're doing television ads. And back whenever I was really ramping up my business, like 16 years ago or so, anybody doing television was like they were gods to me. It was just like, they must be huge, it must be big time. And so I want to like, what was the process for your development and looking for deals? Because for a lot of people, that finding those first deals is the hardest part. And I want to hear about how it worked for you when you decided, okay, I need to find an investment property. What did you do, and how did that evolve?
well, my first deal, it's hilarious. I put a logo on my truck. I believe a buddy of mine charged me $75 to put my company logo that you see behind me, along with a phone number on my truck. One of my neighbors, and you know how neighbors are today. We don't know each other like we used to. One of my neighbors, who I did not know very well, spotted my truck and called me. You know, and at that point, I believe it was about at that point I was studying to get my real estate license, and they asked, could I sell their home, and that it wasn't in good shape and that it needed a lot of work, and I said, yeah, but I'd love to buy it. I'm a real estate investor, and of course I didn't have any money. I applied for a loan through a hard money lender, and I gathered enough money for the down payment and different things. However, this was February of last year, and that's when COVID hit. So the appraisals were the ARV appraisals came back. They were way off. The hard money lender changed their terms at the last minute, and here I was left with a contract that was almost impossible to honor.
Mhm.
Of course, as I mentioned to you, last year I read 52 books, about one a week. And this year, I'm on par to do that again. I study this stuff. I love it. But of course, I had learned a lot about subject to through podcasts and different things. But I guess I just, for lack of a better word, I didn't have the balls to do one. I didn't understand how it worked. I just but between my lawyer and my mentor, my coach, Greg Dickerson, they recommended that I do a subject to, and they helped me through the process. And I was able to secure that deal, and take over that loan for very little cost, and flip that house. And that was my first deal. So it came from a sign on my truck that cost me $75. And it's actually a house that's just a couple of houses down from my house. So look where
Wow.
it started, just right in my neighborhood.
Wow, that's awesome. And for, I was, getting a deal from, was it a magnet or actual decal? I think you said it was an
No, it was
actual
an
decal.
actual decal.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's an
decal.
actual decal.
Yeah, put on there, I tried those for a long time, the magnets at least. And
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know, I had a contractor that said, was asking, can I put that on my truck and then, maybe get a percentage, or maybe I offered that to him or something instead of me having to drive around with him. I was like, I'll give him to him and then tell him I'll pay him, $300 or something like that if I get a call of one that I end up buying or something. And he was asking me every day, so did you get something? It's like, I wish, man, I wish I could get something daily off of that stuff, but it might be few and far between. But anyway, but yeah, to get one like that right off the bat. So what'd you do from there? I mean, what did you do to start looking for deals after that?
So I took that deal, and what I decided, um, you know, at that time, I guess, deal machine was big for me. I would certainly, a lot of driving for dollars, and I'm not afraid to call somebody. So I heard on a podcast, and I don't know whose podcast one day, but rather than letting these deals add up on deal machine, he would skip trace and call them immediately. And I wasn't afraid to do that. So that's just something small. I believe for $49 a month, you can get a deal machine account. And PropStream's doing the same thing now. They all obviously offer driving for dollars. I hadn't tried the interface, but I hear it's good. Um, so that driving for dollars, those honestly are the highest quality leads. I mean, these abandoned houses that don't necessarily show up on these lists that everybody else is calling and mailing to. And so those leads were very valuable to me. Um,
Mm.
you know, my second largest deal, however, came from posting the first deal on Facebook. Um, and it was someone that I knew as well. It was someone that reached out to me, and I assumed their loan, and was able to turn that around fairly quickly. Within a couple of months period of time, whereas the first one had taken a lot longer. Partly because of COVID, and partly because I just didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But when you're paying 4% interest on somebody's loan, you don't mind it taking a little bit longer. So
Yeah. So
um,
those first ones were actual rehab and sell.
yeah. The first one was a full rehab, and we added square footage. So the upstairs, there was a normal staircase going up to an um, unfinished 650 square feet. And we were able to finish that out and add that square footage, which created a ton of value. Um, and then the second, it just needed a few small repairs. It was more of a hotel deal. Um, and from acquisition to close, I mean, we were talking um, less than 3 months for sure, for sure.
Yeah, that's
So
not bad at all.
yeah, yeah. And both those deals were, almost $100,000 each, between, 70 and $100,000 each for both those deals. So
Impressive.
they
All
they,
right.
they really, spurred the firm and allowed me, to create some momentum for sure.
Yeah, to get that money to be able to put back into the company to keep going. And I
Yep.
think more importantly, whenever we did our first deal and so many other people, it's just like that, just the knowledge that now, like, you had faith that you could do it, you did it.
Mhm.
And then it's just like off to the races. Like just let's do more.
Yeah, yeah,
It is
and
completely
and the
possible.
people behind me, too, Danny. Like I mentioned, my coach and just some of those folks at RIA, helping me through those deals, and I ran across a young lady in one of my post licensing classes that I ended up hiring as my broker in charge, and she didn't know anything about real estate investing. However, she took to it very quickly, and talk about people on your team that are so important. I mean, she runs all of my comps now. She
Mm.
essentially, yeah, and you'll love this. So she essentially goes into forefront, and goes to the lead in forefront. She'll run a comp on MLS, and then she'll download that file and put it in Google Drive. We use Google Drive, but then she'll go go into forefront, and she will put her comp, her suggested offer in forefront, and then just tag me in it. And of course, I get the text directly from forefront, and I make my offer from there.
Nice.
So I'm extremely grateful for that. Um,
Cool.
and another thing, until about 2 months ago, I was driving my old truck around with 360,000 miles. I didn't take any of that money and go out and buy toys or anything like that. I just put it back in the business. And I still drive that truck every day. It's just, I feel like the more money I can invest in advertising, obviously, the quicker this thing's going to grow and become, a part of the community and a company that stands on its own.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to what you learned in the beginning there from Robert Kiyosaki, right?
Yep.
Instead of buying that toy, buying that liability, buy the thing that's going to produce, make your money work for you,
Sure.
right, over time. So, and doing this and growing this business, it did the exact same thing myself. And it's, to me, it was more fun and more enjoyable to do that than to go buy something really nice and, know that, that you just spent all that money on something that loses value. And, it loses its newness too, right? You could go to get the nicest car in the world, but you're going to get used to it. And then maybe you're just even going to be worried about it getting dinged up or anything at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I love what you said. And until I found real estate and found this company, I had this, someone asked me what my goal was. I think it was to retire, move to the coast and fish every day. That was my dream. And I love what I do. And, I can't imagine retiring. So talking about devoting money to the company, yeah, absolutely. It gives me new things around here. It gives me more leads. It allows me to grow. And so, yeah, I mean, that absolutely.
yeah. See, it's very clear now why you're so successful within that first year to me, because this is the same thing that my father, he's been investing for over 20 years now. He absolutely loves it. He didn't want to build a big company. He's got a lot of family members working with him and things like that. And he's still working it. He's still going to appointments because he loves it. He just absolutely loves the business, and I see that in you too. It's that same love for this business and just having fun with it. And I think that's important because it's, when it's stressful because you're just trying to hit some dollar figure, you're trying to build up some certain number of wealth for the sake of getting the wealth. There's not that fire there. I mean, maybe a little bit, but it's different. It's different from when there's some passion and love for the whole thing. But to go back, I want to keep this on a thread because I think a lot of people struggle that first year. I don't know how many deals I did. Maybe first 12 months was maybe 3, 4 total. And I know it's been a little bit longer than a year, but to work up. So you went the logo on the truck, the driving for dollars, put that first deal on Facebook, got you another one. Where did you start going from there?
I think I was approached by the television station at that point. Which we, I thought was out of reach, and maybe it was slightly. It took a lot of negotiating to find some television spots that I could afford, and of course that was our local broadcast CBS station that contacted me, and honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why she reached out to me. I don't know what she saw that, and maybe I need to ask her. I'm friends with her today, but maybe I need to ask her, well, why. Maybe she was calling a list. I don't know, but she reached out to me, and then she didn't stop. She was very persistent. So, that first TV spot came, and as I mentioned to you, that was tough going. That was several months of a lot of money with not a lot of return. I think during the first 2 months, I had one small retail deal that paid for that barely paid for the advertising. But as I mentioned, that's picked up a little.
Yeah, and there's a big point there. I think especially for a lot of newer investors, because the typical problem with starting out and trying to figure out the marketing piece and the lead generation piece is that we can spend, and I remember very clearly because I was scared to death of losing money. And you spend $1,000 on a mail campaign and you don't get a call, or maybe one angry call or 2 angry calls or something.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes you wonder, how much more money should I throw into this black pit that I'll never see again. And who has the success? It's the people that say, you know what, I know that I probably won't see something, or I couldn't, there might be a possibility I don't see anything in this first, second, third month, but I'm going to commit to trying this out for this long.
Yep.
And that tends to be the person that makes it. So if you try it 1 month, it doesn't give you a deal after one mailing or even two mailings or something, and you just say, I need to stop throwing money away, I'm going to go try something else. Well, you're kind of getting rid of that investment altogether at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not really trying to dial anything in or hit that list enough times or whatever it is. And I know it's scary, and you could lose and not end up with a deal after all of it, but it seems to be the people that stick with something for long enough to give it long enough of a chance to try to work for them, tend to make it through.
Yeah. And I mentioned to you, I'm starting some cold calling, and the beginning of next week's when we begin, and 20 hours dedicated to that a week. And I asked the company, and I interviewed multiple companies, spent a lot of time on this. And asked, so what's the minimum contract? And they said 2 months. And I completely respect that. And I'm not going anywhere after 2 months if that doesn't pull in a deal, although, I'm pretty confident after looking at the metrics that it will. But I'm not going anywhere after 2 months. I'll give it its fair shake. So because it's just like now, it's funny. Week before last, I inked 4 deals, 4 investment deals, and then last week I barely got a call. So that's just kind of how this marketing goes sometimes. Sometimes for one reason or another, you go through these lulls, and then one day your phone will ring 10 times, and you're pulling your hair out, and that's just what I've learned, over the short period of time I've been doing this, is that they just come in waves, and you just have to give everything an opportunity to run its course,
Yeah, it's kind of fun after a while. If you're doing deals, it's fun, right? And, because it does kind of compound and build on itself, right? It becomes this thing where you've got so much stuff out there that even if you put it out there 6, 8, 9, 10 months ago, sometimes people are still finding some of that remnants of that, or they kept on to some direct mail, or they wrote down your number after they saw your truck or whatever.
Right.
Or saw the commercial, wrote down the number or something, or took a picture of it, all that kind of stuff. So with the TV, I mean, what do you think? I mean, how did that even work? I never even bothered to figure out what that looked like. So do they have somebody out that comes out and shoots the videos for you? Or do you have to provide that? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, some channels do, some channels don't. I mean, they all have folks who will come out and camera crews that'll come out and take care of that. But it's whether or not it's free, it's included in your package. It's different with each channel. And they'll also write your ad copy. But what I've learned is and here I am, I'm involved in every part of the business. So I've got to learn to delegate a little better to allow folks to do their job. But what I learn is no one can write better ad copy than myself and maybe my broker in charge, because we know what our business stands for. We've got a little bit of a different spin on this real estate firm here. It's we go out and we tell folks what their homes are actually worth. We tell them, we hand them a comp. We say, we can list your home for price A, but I will give you this price cash, as quickly as you'd like it. So we put it, and it's hard to explain that to someone who's, at a TV channel writing your ad copy, So honestly, I run 2 different commercials. I run the one that's completely dedicated to the retail side, and then I run another, and that kind of gives folks that glimpse of that cash offer. So I run two different commercials. I was running some bookend commercials at the start of a commercial break and at the end, and now we're running some 30s, and we're building content, and they're coming out to film 2 more next week, which I'm excited about. I always looked at these folks' YouTube channels with hundreds of videos. I thought I'm never going to get there, but I could see how people get there. I'm starting to see
Takes
how
time.
they get there.
Takes a lot of time. Well, that's really cool. And I like the fact that you're doing the hybrid model. I think that's becoming a lot more popular these days. and has a better chance of weathering any kind of changes in the market. And so you're running those two different types of leads. Well, I guess it ends up being the same type of lead through Forefront, and then when you go to the appointment, you give them, what you could list it for, and then versus what you could buy it for. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
did you have like
Absolutely.
two separate pipelines or something in Forefront for that, or are you just doing?
Yeah, several different, I have a retail listing and a retail buyer, and then, and closing dates are set up by appointments. And it's great because I can, I can tag a user myself, or Tiffany, my broker in charge. I can tag a user, but I can also tag a contact. So for example, I've got a closing Friday, and that's how I gave her the lawyer's office address, was inside that appointment setting inside Forefront. I just set an appointment for the closing next Friday at 1 p.m. and then put in the address and change the heading from seller appointment to closing, and then the address. And then she received a notification text with the address and time. And then I'll set a reminder as well. So
Cool, man. It's so cool to hear people using it in different ways. I just like to hear all those different things. And yeah, that's really cool how you've set that up. Moving forward with the TV, so you feel like you're going to continue, because you said there was kind of a dry spell with the TV at first, and then it just kind of picked up. I mean, do you feel like you got like a long-term opportunity for that? Or I guess maybe the better question is, at what point would you say that you would discontinue using it?
I don't know. I mean, as I mentioned, I've joined the second channel, and as of about a month ago, I was weighing my options between, so I CBS, and then I joined ABC, and then I was weighing between joining Fox or starting this new cold calling advertising, and I decided to go with the cold calling because it's a little something different. But I think I'll probably join a third and a fourth station. And when I test a new market, I'll probably do TV as well, but I'll probably do the digital television. Whereas I can target certain parts of the market doing that. So broadcast and digital are two totally different beasts. And so, I haven't even touched on that at all.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
but yeah,
So
I love TV.
yeah, so how are you, how are you tracking all of this? Is it strictly through Forefront, or do you have there other ways of tracking where the leads are coming from with all the different things that you're doing?
Yeah, so I have different websites, different landing pages, of course, and then different phone numbers. I that go in through CallRail, but of course that all comes back in through Forefront. So to answer your question, yes, it's all tracked through Forefront. But it's so hard. Excuse me, it's so hard to track a lead. Someone sees me on TV, they don't generally call the number at the bottom of the screen. It's not 1980. They
It's not-
they Google me. They look at my Google
Interesting.
Maps page. They look at my reviews. Um, they look at my Facebook page. They go to my website, and so a lot of calls just come in through the office number, even though they may be a TV lead, or they may be from a Facebook ad, or
Mm,
and they come back through, or they may see my sign, and then they Google my site, and so they can look at that retail property that's there, and then they call from my site. So it's really, and Josh was our introduction, but Josh and I are working on some things to better define these metrics, because you just don't know, you don't always know where these leads come from without
yeah,
asking
that
directly.
that was
And
going to be my
then
question. Yeah.
what channel do they come from, and what time slot did they see them, and
Mm.
there's so many things to it, because time slots matter. I
Will
mean,
they allow, do they have mechanisms for displaying different websites and different phone numbers at different time slots?
not on, well, I'm sure I could get them to do that. I'm sure it's just an easy tweak in the content. Of course, we film the commercial, and I send them my info, that I want on the screen at the end of the commercial or throughout the commercial. So I'm sure that they would do multiple commercials. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at this point. That might be something to consider though.
Yeah.
But I do have a vanity number, and I kind of push that. It's television. What I found is a familiarity, right? So they become familiar with my face. They hear that 336-737 cell. That's my number, and it's a vanity number. They hear tvcashoffer.com. That's my landing page. They hear those things, and maybe they remember them. Now, just because they go to that landing page, they still may click off on my main site and call another number. But yeah, I try to keep that try to keep that flow.
That's a good domain. I like that domain, TV Cash Offer.
Yeah.
You're
I,
probably
I
gonna
own a
get
lot of domains. There's been a lot of sleepless nights where I just sit there and just try to find domains, you know.
That's such a
Uh,
funny thing. There's so many people that love that too. I collect them too. I've got a bunch of weird ones, but
Maybe we can trade some one day.
we
Maybe.
should, right? Yeah. Which ones you got? I'll trade you TV Cash Offer for
It's great.
um yeah, I might have to give you 3 or 4 or 5 domains for that one. But
Yeah.
no, I'm just kidding. All right. So you mentioned Josh and obviously mutual friend, ex-brother-in-law of mine, and he's doing running lead farmers and doing PPC for you. How long have you worked with Josh?
It's been almost a year now, I think. And over the first few months there, I wasn't real familiar with Josh. I you know, give him what he needed, and he and I didn't talk a lot. Josh has become, Josh has almost become, I don't want to say this, I don't want it to go to his head, but he's almost become a bit of a coach himself.
Yeah.
Which I think Josh is a little younger than me, so I don't want to say that, but he knows digital marketing so well. And he sent me something this morning. And I think he sent it out to all of his customers, but he sent me something this morning, and I'm going to jump right on it. But even with and something he mentioned about Melissa and how she handles her flips and her contractors. It was a show that you guys did years ago, I think, where I was approaching my newest flip in a manner. I thought, well, if I'm doing 20 flips, I'm not going to be riding by this thing every day. So I'm going to try not to go by until it's done. And I'm just going to, I'm going to put them in place. I'm going to put some people I trust there to take care of it. And then I want them to hand me the keys at the end when the project's done. And he had a perspective to that, they feel like they're working for an unseen company, that I'd be better off stopping by every couple of weeks at least, and showing my face so that they could actually see that somebody was there to encourage them and answer any questions they had on the flip, or just things like that. Maybe stop by with pizza or Gatorade, or just something to be encouraging to those guys who are doing such a great job on my properties, and what a perspective he gave, because I thought I was doing so great to delegate and to step away. But in reality, if I was doing 20 properties at a time, I would have someone in place to check on these properties and to be that face. And right now I am that face. So, I need to check in, and I just make sure they know I appreciate them. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big part, having that relationship. And then inevitably too, it could be quiet if you don't go by a rehab for a month, you don't hear anything, and it should be close to being done. And then you stop by and all of a sudden there's some questions. It's like, how come there were no questions for the other weeks? Like what
Yeah.
got done without any kind of approval? And obviously, hopefully when you work with somebody long enough, they kind of know what the punch list is going to end up being, and they know to take care of stuff, even if it is something small that they don't need to bug you with. They just know it needs to be done.
Right.
But yeah, that was a good point. Are you so you're generating some deals, I would imagine, from the PPC, huh?
Yeah. And like I said, everything's a little blurred, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely getting quite a few visits to the website. I'm very proud of our site. Spend a lot of time on that, maybe too much time. And then, Josh has put those ads in place. He's also helped me, with the Facebook ads and some of that content. And it's an inexpensive way to test new markets. I mean, we've joined the MLS we're a member of 3 MLSs here in the center of the state, North Carolina, but we've also joined the coastal MLS. And I've started doing some test marketing with just those Facebook ads down there. And it's so easy to ask Josh just to transition that Facebook marketing and the pay-per-click marketing to another market when I'm ready. So
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, there's so much that goes into each of those localities as far as like what people tend to search in those locations, what works, what shows the motivation, what doesn't.
Yep.
Especially, yeah, pay-per-click is an interesting thing that I think a lot of people think you figure it out and you can like set it up and let it run. That's not the way it goes. Like there's management involved.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Not at all.
management involved. So it sounds like you're doing really well and progressing. And I love that you're learning constantly, picking up new things, but not getting so bogged down with having a million tools in your tool belt as far as ways that you're doing deals. It doesn't seem like,
Right.
Which helps you focus. What is your vision for your company, or a little bit longer term goals for it?
As I mentioned, I would love to open another brokerage, at the coast and duplicate what we have here in another market. And I could see us growing into multiple states. I could see that happening. For now, though, and my coach has stressed this to me, it's the market that I'm in is a great market. And Greensboro is an incredible market. It's very, very competitive. I mean, there's some big hitters here. Max Maxwell, for example, is a wholesaler nationwide, and I have a lot of respect for the guy. He's just 30 minutes away, and he's incredible. And there's multiple there's companies that are doing 100 deals a month in my town.
Wow.
But there's deals out there. There's deals out there for everybody, in my opinion, and especially the way I'm doing things. And I've still got that hometown feel to what I'm doing, and getting a lot of referral deals, and I think we're going to continue to grow with that. And there's still some marketing avenues that I haven't explored. Having my team up on a billboard on the interstate here. I know that's effective. So there's other things that I could do, to grow and get a larger share of the market. But as I mentioned, the market that I'm in is we work within a 45-mile radius, which kind of mimics the broadcast TV a little bit. At least the pay-per-click is a 45-mile radius. There's a ton of deals here to do, and I think we can just grow, and not hire for the sake of hiring. Find those people who really love what they're doing, just like I do. As I mentioned, I listen to a lot of podcasts and read a lot of books, and I don't know where I got it from, but don't hire people that are smarter than you, that are faster than you, because if they're slower than you, you're going to be pulling them behind you, and I want folks pulling me forward. I want to come in here and work at I want to be working, have to come back in the office and work late at night, because I've got the new guy that I know is going to be asking me a lot of questions, and I don't want to be embarrassed, because I want to know those answers. So I want somebody that pushes me forward, and that's what I'm looking for.
Nice. Yeah, maybe you'll find some of them with you're giving back and encouraging new people and talking to new people could be a good source of that.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot before where that's happened. People's right hand people ended up being somebody that came to them looking for advice on how to get into the business or whatever, and ended up working with them and doing a lot of stuff for years, which has been great. Well, Ben, our time is pretty much up. I'm going to ask you what your favorite book is. You read a lot. Do you have an absolute favorite that you would recommend?
Yeah. So, Phil Knight, and my goodness, I'm drawing a blank, but the creator of Nike. Why am I drawing a blank? Shoe Dog. There you go. That's
Shoe
my
Dog?
favorite. Yeah, it's an absolute great book. I have a lot of respect for him and how he grew his company from the ground up, and even more if you read to the end, you see what his athletes really think of him. And that's my goal, is to be respected just like he is.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. If anybody out there listening wants to talk to you, get a hold of you for any reason, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, you can visit my website, unitedpropertiesnc.com, or I'm Ben at unitedpropertiesnc.com.
Nice. All right. We'll have that on the show notes as well. And that's that. Well, I'm glad to have met you, and I'm sure we'll be continuing keeping in touch, and I'd love to see where you're going with everything.
Okay, thanks, Danny.
All right. Take care.